Hello, today is February 5th, 2016. These are my pepper starts. I wanted to share them with you. I have some other stuff in the back, but we're not going to talk about that. These seeds were sown on January 17th, 2016. They were placed on heat mats. They were only taken off to be watered. Kept a light down on top of them, right over the top of the seed cell trays. February 1st, they came off the heat mat, so that's pretty good germination. That means everything that you see germinated was germinated by February 1st. So let's make a few observations. This one looks really good. This one is catching my eye too. I have 7 different types of peppers. Um, these 3 I'm going to keep. You can see them. I only need 3 or 4 of each type. They're different colors. Um, these you can see were later to germinate. They didn't germinate as fast, but everything was up in just a few days. These you can see need to be fed. There's yellowing all over the place. Now, when you feed them, let me just give you a piece of advice. The leaf is not going to turn back to green. It's not going to look like this. But the new leaves that are going to come out are going to be this color green. So that'll be okay, because the old leaves usually just fall off. So let me tell you about a little bit about feeding them. I'm going to use a 1/3 strength dose of whatever the manufacturer recommends. So if it says to put a tablespoon to a gallon of water, I'm going to use a teaspoon to a gallon of water. And when you're selecting the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the P needs to be the biggest. That's the one that helps with the rooting. So here's an example of a fertilizer like a 4-18-9 or a 2-12-4. I'm using a 4-12-4. I'm using a chemical. I don't want the smell of organic in my house, and I'm not completely convinced that organic fertilizers don't have some type of biology. I'm in a pretty sterile environment. I try to keep it that way. So the smell and the biology. I'm going to fill this tray up with water about a quarter of the way. So I'm going to mix up a whole gallon of it, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to let the plants absorb it when I think they've been in long enough, because you can see this is pretty dark. I think they've been in long enough, 20 minutes, I'm going to take them out. So they'll absorb the nutrients pretty fast. Usually you would wait until these were dry, but I was in a hurry and didn't have time to feed them last night, so I watered them. So that's why the soil is so dark. Usually I would do this when the soil is dry. My opinion on the chemical fertilizer versus the organic, and I really don't want to get into this, but nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium has to be made from an organic source. It's not a green man in a spaceship that made some chemical up. They got it from an organic source. It's just how they created it into this liquid. They mixed it with salts. I don't know if this is going to come up in the camera. You see the white stuff right there? Right under the yellow lid, right there on my finger? It's all over this thing, and usually there's a lot more, but I wiped it up, and I should have left it so you can see. When your soil dries out, those salts are going to be left clung to the roots. You're going to have to flood them, deluge, or whatever word you got to say. You got to wash them, soak them, get that rinsed out, and pour it out of there so they can just absorb water, because the salt will prevent them from doing that. And that's one of the things that people have a point about using inorganic liquid fertilizers. So we talked about the yellow leaves. We talked about feeding them. Some of these I'm going to just take and transplant in the styrofoam cups and get them out of the way, because they're crowding out the light from the smaller plants. And even though I only want 3 of them, maybe 4, I may have a catastrophe. So keeping these in their seed cells and giving them a chance, keeping a couple of them. So when I'm looking to thin out something, a tray like this, since this one's the one I want to keep, I'm just going to cut this one off. I'm not even trying to save him. But in a situation like this, now this one's going to be removed and transplanted up. So this one's yellow, this one's green. They're in the same seed cell. I'm going to cut the yellow one off, and these leaves won't be here, and this one will take off. That one's yellow. I pick one of these 2. Oop, I didn't mean to smash them. I pick one of these 2, and that would be how I would decide. I would look for the leggiest one. I would look for the thickest stem. You know what? That's a pretty good stand for peppers in 18 days. Some of them take up to 21 days to germinate. And this one, that one, and that one. The rest of them are yellow. I might thin them out and just keep one of them. I want to show you something else. Can you, let me get you in the light here. On the tip of that stem, you see that dark color? It's got a purple color to it. I'm talking about right here. I'm going to put it back in the light for you. That happens under fluorescent lighting. At least it happens under my fluorescent lighting. They're fine. Let's take a look and see in this one right here. Oh, there's one that just germinated. Right there. Let me get it in the light. I don't know if you can see him. I've got him pretty much in the center of the screen. He is immediately going to go. So he's going to just compete for nutrition. And he doesn't need to be fed. He's about to see what a chemical fertilizer tastes like. This one, this one, this one, and wow, look at this. The seeds never released the embryonic leaves so they could open up. There's another one. All right, so those two obviously have to go. So I'm looking to make room for the ones that are left and give them a way they can get light and not be in the shadow of a taller leaf. You can also rearrange them. So I definitely wouldn't keep all three of these together. I would put one of these in, or one that looks like this. I would swap these out. So this one was over here. The way my lights are set up, they're going to get enough light to grow, but they're just not going to be in the shadow. And so I'd have this space opened up. Let me show you. It would just be better for the taller peppers if you would do something like this. Get out of there. So it kind of opened up that area, and maybe, you know, this one is better to have it against a taller one than to say have it in here where, let me see, that's not really working out, is it? Where the seed cell, if it was placed in right, would put a tall one right next to another tall one. So I'm going to transplant these into these styrofoam cups. So here's the ticket. If I had 12 seed cells and everything germinated, I would have 72 plants. You only get about 18 of these back into one of these trays by the time you pot them up. This is what I use. So I am going to have to pick 36 plants to fit under 4 foot of fluorescent light in the same width as these seed cell trays are. And the cups would be stacked, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be able to get 36 of them under my grow light station. So keep that in mind when you're planting seeds and how much you want to start. After I transplant them up, I'm going to adjust the fluorescent light I have. I'm going to put it on an angle. The last thing I want to talk to you about is prevention. So these have never been outside. They haven't been exposed to any insects, and they've been kept in a pretty clean environment. I know they're in pretty sterile soil. So I'm not going to expose them to the outside until they're ready to go out, and they'll be in something like this by that time. If you do get gnats or fungus started in a grow closet or under grow lights, kind of try to remember what an aquarium smells like when it needs to have its water changed out. That smell, when you get close to it, you could smell the biology, I guess, of what you got. The same thing. You've got the moisture, soil, and you've got the light to grow it under. So keep that in mind. Try to keep as sterile of a situation as you can. If they do come out, fungus gnats and other soft-bodied insects, a couple of drops of dish soap in water and spray it. Spray the plant, spray the seed cells, take them out, spray underneath. It'll kill the adults in about 24 hours. It dehydrates them, but they've already laid eggs. So you're going to have to reapply it when the eggs, so you're going to see them again when the eggs hatch. Just try to catch them and break their life cycle, and that's the best way to control them without using any kind of a pesticide or something in your grow closet. Okay, well, thanks for watching my channels. I hope you enjoyed looking at my peppers. I'm really excited. I am in zone 8A on the Texas Gulf Coast. And my goal date is, my last frost date is March 15th. So I started my peppers 8 weeks. 8 weeks is what I'm going on peppers. If I'm going to start my tomatoes, I'm going to go with my tomatoes about 4 to 6 weeks. I like to give myself a little bit of time to carry over things that really need heat, because sometimes we get well, we're not going to get below 32 degrees Fahrenheit after March 15th, but we're going to be too cold to start transplants of hot loving conditions. So if I put these out and it drops to 40 degrees at night or 35 degrees at night for even one night, it can stunt these plants. So thanks.